I have talked myself in and out of doing craft fairs, vendor markets, that type of stuff countless times. I have flip-flopped on the issue many, many times. I think a large portion of this is because of two different things. Number one, I have seen plenty of like YouTube videos where really talented crochet people go do a market and, like end up losing money instead of making money. Along with that, the craft fairs that I have generally found around my area tend not to be advertised that well. And my whole thought is that if I am going to devote, the time and the energy and the money into an endeavor like that, I really want it to be worth it. Not only for me, but everybody who is involved in it. So this is going to be the first in a series of videos about how to organize your own craft fair. I will take you along. It might be month by month, or it might be like every couple weeks. It just depends how fast things are going and what I think is, newsworthy for you and important. I will also, in any video where I talk about like a resource I have created, I will have that resource available to you for free on my blog for you to download. If you don't know me super well and you're like, why are you qualified to do this? Because I'm not an event planner professionally by any means. When I did go to college, even though it was 100 years ago, it was for marketing. And I also have been running a business with my husband in a small town for 16 years. I think it's 16 years, 17 years. So I do have some experience as far as, what it takes and how things have changed over time. Like when I said I went to college 100 years ago, it wasn't that long ago because I'm almost 50. But the thing is that things have changed very, the internet's. So things have changed a lot. Social media wasn't around when I was in college, but I want you to know I have had to keep up with a lot of this to help keep our business running and afloat. Whilst I was in college, my internship was a 6-month long project that involved me helping the director of the career center at the college host a job fair. She had done it many, many years. It was huge, and not all things with that are applicable, but that is my experience thus far. Some of these things, these tips in this first intro video are going to be just kind of like a jumping off point, which is where I started, like brainstorming. If you want to put it in your notes on your phone, if you want a notebook and paper, whatever you want to do. But there's a few things that I do want you to really consider to begin with. And the first one is going to be, I strongly suggest having a co-host. I just think it is way too much for one person to do, especially if you are also planning on being a vendor. I mean, I think you could do it, but I don't think you would really be giving either aspect of it really your best effort. And I think you owe it to yourself to give yourself the best effort. So when it came for me, like picking out a co-host to see if this person would be interested, number one is pick someone you like to hang out with. Don't pick someone just because they're super organized or maybe they have experience in that. If you really struggle to work with them, you want someone that you can communicate well, someone who has similar values, similar goals, just to make things easier for both of you. You really reduce your odds of bickering about certain aspects of it if you're both kind of coming from the same place. And like I said, you can communicate well with each other. Another factor is find someone that actually has the time to help you with. You know what? If your best friend is raising 3 kids and works full time and volunteers at their school for something, they probably don't have time, and they may not want to tell you that. They may want to help you because they are your best friend. But I would say, just skip over them. And if it were to ever come up, why you didn't, just be like, I know how busy you are, and I know it would have been a stress for you. And they'll probably feel thankful that you thought of them, but knew that it wasn't the right time in life for them. So the person that I picked, I do get along with well. She does a different type of craft than I do, but she is really into the marketing aspect. And I know for her business that she runs, marketing is important. She has really nice marketing materials that she's designed for herself. And to me, that was a very good sign that she cared about that aspect of it. It wasn't like, oh, we're just throwing this together and what happens, happens. Like, she's intentional with how she is representing her business. And I think that's important, because otherwise you are going to not only spend your time doing your portion of marketing, but you're also probably going to be maybe like correcting or coaching that person. So make it easy on yourself, and again, find someone that kind of has those similar I guess I would say goals or interests. The next thing you want to consider when you are organizing your own craft fair, vendor market, whatever you want to call it, is what type of vendor do you want? So for us, we want to do like vintage and handmade. So I am planning some different products that I will maybe go over in a different type of video and kind of explain how I got to deciding what I was going to sell at this. Like I said, I wanted the vintage because so much of my like local brand that I'm establishing is a lot of, vintage stuff. That's what I like. And if I find cool vintage accessories or home decor that maybe I haven't crafted, but, like my cool macrame owls or something. I mean, I'm not giving up my macrame owls, but something like that. I think the vintage would be a great route. And I think it also gives us another opportunity to bring in a few more people who maybe you wouldn't think of as like crafters, but it could be someone who, flips furniture, upcycles different things. I think those are great, and we are definitely hoping to get some of those involved. We're kind of opening things up, and I'll get to the date later and explain a little bit about that. But we also thought the focus of this could be like a pre-Mother's Day type of event. So if you're looking at that and you're thinking like, okay, who's going to come to this? It's a lot of times women, they could be looking for their mom. They could be looking for themselves. There's all sorts of things. But we thought we would invite a few different type of like one-person micro businesses, I guess you could call it, that are in our area, that are like people who grow plants, people who do like, not a flower shop, but like arrange flowers and I don't know if I'm saying that, but like grow flowers and arrange them, that type of stuff. We also thought like, people who bake cookies, like baked goods. Those are also great ideas where, that's something where those people can bring samples, they can have pictures and show what they do, and then they can also take orders for the upcoming holiday. The one thing that we chose not to involve, and it's not a dig on any type of MLM type of business, but we decided we didn't really want any of those, just because my co-host and I have both said when we go to a craft fair, a handmade fair, we want it to be crafts and handmade. So there are other opportunities in our community for just like vendor shows where I think a lot of those businesses will do better at anyway. The next step is you are going to want to research some potential venues. This was actually pretty easy for me because I live in a very small rural area. And like in my county, there's about 3 larger towns of about 3,000 people. And then there's just like a sprinkling of very tiny towns that are, from under 1,000 to like a couple hundred. I am pretty limited on venues, but that was okay for me because the plus side about living like in an area like this is chances are the venue price to rent is probably going to be pretty affordable. So I did decide on a venue, and it is like the hometown. Well, it's where my co-host grew up, and I have family there, and she has family there, and it's a community center. It is affordable to rent. It's, I would say, fairly new, like within the past 20 years or so. And it's got nice bathrooms. It has a kitchen area. So if people want to, if vendors want to bring lunch, they can store them in the refrigerator, all that stuff. It's going to be very convenient in that aspect. There are also tables that people can use. They are big round tables, which really isn't optimal, but not everyone has done a market. Not everyone has access. Not everybody wants to go out and buy tables and stuff like that. So this will provide a good opportunity for anyone who needs the use of a table. They will be there. There's also chairs. So again, another thing we don't have to worry about. If you are in a place with a lot of different venues to choose from, get creative, think outside the box. If your major venues are just too expensive, it's going to affect the price that you have to charge the vendors, and that can make or break whether people want to do your event ever again or at all in the first place. So I'm pretty fortunate that this is like $100. We decided based on the price that we were going to charge vendors $10. So that is super affordable. That is, it's cheap. I'm going to say it's cheap. Most people who do those things usually pay much more than that. So we think this will help us get more people. If in the future we want to raise the price, we definitely can, but this is the first time we'll be doing it. So we felt like that was great. Once you have your venue, you really want to consider the date. For us here, we are in the rural Midwest, so we do have to, like, if you're from a city, this will sound crazy, but some things get planned around like planting and harvest. And since we're doing ours in April, it could be planting season. It could be. It could be done. It could not have started yet. There's a lot of things. And my co-host, her husband does farm. So that is something where, while she does have a lot of available time, that is something where then like all of her household duties pretty much are going to fall on her. So something to consider. It is also like generally this will be a week before when they generally have prom at the local schools, so that is helpful as well. People will potentially be more available. If we're looking at moms that are like maybe millennial to Gen X age and have kids that are still in school. So we just want to make it easy for everyone to come. And again, the other point of it being a couple weeks before Mother's Day, so that it really kind of gives focus and kind of helps guide our potential vendors into like, what should they be bringing? What do they have the greatest chances of selling? Maybe you have no intention on starting your own craft fair, but if it's something you have ever like thought about, get out your notebook, start taking some notes, and really look at, like I said, your co-host or co-hosts, however you want to do that, your venue, your date, the type of vendors you want to have. And then we have started kicking around our name already. So what I did was I actually plugged in some of the different words that I kind of liked and the vibe I was going for into ChatGPT. And I was like, can you give me like 20 different suggestions for this? Now, I didn't use any of them. I kind of combined some together, and that's kind of how I came out with what we came out with so far, unless we changed it. So I'm not going to tell you yet because we are still in the very initial planning. But we set our date far enough out, 5 months from when we started this process, so that we're not rushed. We are able to wait for the Christmas season to end, and at that point, start advertising for our vendors with the important information that they need to know. And after that, I would say probably in like March and April, we will go hardcore on our digital marketing. And I am excited about sharing this process with you. I'm really excited about just doing it in general. I love that type of stuff, and I love digital marketing, and I think it's going to be fun. We are really enjoying the planning process. I have started a few different templates for some Google Sheets, like a spreadsheet, and I will be sharing those with you in the very next videos. I hope you do enjoy this, and I think it'll be fun, and I'm just really excited just about the whole process. So thank you so much for talking yarn with me. When we get together for the next in this series, we'll probably get together before the next series video, but in that one, we are going to be going over a lot more dealing with the vendors and the spreadsheets and some of the stuff that isn't quite as fun, but is very necessary and, you just got to do. So thank you. I will talk to you soon. Bye.